It's a season of hope. Do you have hope to compose something amazing one day, or maybe you already have? Do you have hope to get your compositions on ArtList or Motion Array or any whatever the place is? Do you have hope to get it into exclusive libraries? Do you have hope to get your music out into television, into films and commercials? Do you have hope as a composer? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. If you are in the chat or you're watching later on online, thank you for being here, and make sure that you leave a comment. I'd love to hear about your hope, specifically what you are hoping for. If not now, maybe in the new year. We're going to be talking a lot about the new year. I usually do a few different kinds of New Year's specials where we kind of talk about things that we could implement in the new year and have more success. But as composers, I know I find that my hope is tied to my outlook. My hope is tied to what next song I'm going to write. And to me, that's what's really important. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little later in the show. So shout out to those who are here in the chat right now. I've got about 8 of you here. Thanks for joining me so far today. Beginning was a little rough, but I'll just cut that out. You know how I do. I like to cut out the riffraff, cut out the chat. Don't always need it, and so I like to cut that out. But today I want to just find out where you're from. If you are in the chat today, let us know who you are if I haven't shouted you out already, and where you're watching today. And if you are watching later, make sure you tell me where you are watching from in the comments. I would love to know more about you, and if you have songs that one day could be reviewed here on Hello Composers. I love doing this show. It's a lot of fun. And I want to now do a few different things. I've got some different things I want to do on this show other than just talk. I'll talk in a minute. But I want to do a few new segments here and just try them out. We'll see what you think. First one is called Composer News, and I just want to talk about some news items that I have seen every week. Not very long, but we're just going to talk about a few things. But the first thing I have to talk about is the Hello Composers Mastermind. You may have seen the video this week. If not, I will put it in the description below. You can find all about that in the description below. I have the Hello Composers Mastermind. We also have the Make Music Income Mastermind. Now, what is this? It's a 12-week course where we meet every week on the same day at the same time. We meet and we talk for however long we need to talk, but probably around 2 hours, and just go over what's going on with you. And this is a special mastermind course. It's private. No one else is going to be part of this other than the people who are in this group. This isn't something that's like this, that's a live where everybody hangs out. It's going to be very unique and different. So make sure you go to makemusicincome.com/mastermind, and you'll find out everything about the mastermind, what it is, how the whole video is there that I released the other day, so you can go and find out about that. Let me tell you, the Hello Composers Mastermind is filling up fast, and the Make Music Income Mastermind already has people interested as well, and some people already in it. So do not delay, especially if you want the early bird price that is listed on the site. So go to makemusicincome.com/mastermind to find out about both of the masterminds. Would love to have you in there. If you have any questions about the mastermind, put them in the chat, and I will answer that in here in just a minute. Cyber Week continues. It continues for me. It continues for a lot of people. I know you're probably sick of cyber deals by this time, but hey, why should you be sick of saving money? That doesn't make any sense. Like I said, my mastermind, both the masterminds are $50 off this week, in addition to be able to do lots of different ways of paying for it, like by payments or possibly even a tax-deductible payment. So get in touch if you're interested in knowing more about that. I'll talk about that. I can only talk about those things through email, but would love to talk to you about that. But Cyber Week continues. There are deals still going on, and one of them I have listed here. The other one I don't. But Scalar which is a program I'm getting ready to do a review on. As you may or may not know, I am not crazy about programs that do the writing for you, that do composing for you and say, okay, just click this button and click this button and click this button, boom, you've written a song. To me, that's not helpful for your growth as a composer. And so I really am not crazy about that kind of software. As a matter of fact, in the class that I teach now, I am really, with the young composers that are in my group, I am concerned that we don't teach them compose music theory first, so I can teach them from theory how to compose. If they don't know how to make a chord, if they don't know how to play a bass note, if they don't know how to put chords together and put a melody together without using a loop or without using some kind of software, well, that's no good to me at all. And so I'll be reviewing Scalar with a bit of a skeptical eye. I have looked at the iPad version, and I am going to be putting that out to on this channel. This review that will be on the Hello Composers channel, and so I'll be talking about that soon. And let's see what else we have. Oh, also, I do want to mention, I don't have a thing here for it, but I do want to mention that SongTrader still, until I think today is the last day, and I'm going to grab it. They have a 40% off sale for the year, so I think it's only like $29 to get SongTrader for the year. Now, you might be saying, Eric, why would I pay $29 to SongTrader to get on their and pay them if you've had so much success? And by the way, I just got another SongTrader payment. We don't talk about making music income here. We talk about composing. But for you composers who are thinking about getting some using SongTrader, I would say if you are interested in signing up for them for the year, there's still a 40% Black Friday. I think it's Black Friday 2022 is the code that saves you about $20 on their yearly price. I think I'm going to do it only because I did some math today, and I've made close to $350 with my songs on SongTrader this year, and I would have made more like $460 if I'd made 80% versus 60%. So I think it makes sense for me to do it, especially with this the trade-off of the $30 versus the $120. I'll take that trade-off. And I usually find that to be the case. Last year it wasn't the case. This year I have paid nothing to SongTrader and made the most I've made from them, well, at least in the past 2 years since I've been tracking it. But check out songtrader.com and see about that if you want to do that. The next thing I want to do, and I did not call this book up, but I want to talk about this book, and it's called The Real World, R-E-E-L, by Jeff Rona. And if you do not have this book or have never heard of this book, this has been around a long time. But Jeff Rona, I think he did the stuff for the X-Files. He does a lot of different stuff, but it's all about scoring for pictures, about composing for pictures. Let me find the more updated one. It just released the new one here. I don't know what site this is, but I'll show you what it looks like. I've read this book before. I used to have it, but it's been recently updated, and it's called The Real World Scoring for Pictures. And this link doesn't want to come up. But if you've heard of Jeff Rona, he has been involved in these things for a long time, and I've certainly seen his stuff. And so you might want to check out this book. Great book for really the reality of scoring for television. And we talk so much about scoring and about composing, and wow, these sites are just so very slow right now, not wanting to come up. Here it is. Scoring for pictures, television, and video games. And to me, I think that's us. So let me share my screen and show you that. Let's see, present arms, no, present my Chrome tab. Here it is right here. So this is the Real World scoring for pictures, games, television, and video games. You might want to look into it. It's newly updated. It's got a new cover. Woohoo! But really good book, and talks to interviews a lot of composers: John Williams, James Newton Howard, Hans Zimmer, Mark Isham, Mark Shaman, just everybody who is involved in this. I think this is one of the better books that I have seen for composers to learn more about that. All right, so that's it for the news right now. Check that out. Remember, if you want to be part of this show, which we will be getting to music reviews in a little bit, but if you want to be part of the show, make sure you send something to me at hellocomposers@gmail.com. That is, send me an MP3 only, and also send me why you may have written the song, or what the song is for, or how you wrote the song. Is always fun to talk about on here. But also, make sure you are sending anything holiday you have. It doesn't have to only be holiday. I'll find a way to fit it into my vision here on each show. I kind of have a theme. Today's theme is hope, but I'll find a way to fold it in. But make sure you send that to hellocomposers@gmail.com, and just send MP3s only, no links, because if you send links, then I have to go and find where the file is, and there's no time for that. All right, I want to celebrate a few birthdays today. Composer birthdays. The first one is Randy Newman. Now, it actually was his birthday 2 days ago on November 28th. Randy Newman, what a composer, what a songwriter. Back in the old days, I had a record, I think it was called I Love LA. I can't remember the name of it, but it had the famous song Short People, which was an actual hit on the radio. Can you imagine coming out with a song called Short People? In this day, you would be eviscerated by the press, who would say, "How dare you write a song about short people?" And it's not it's not nice to short people, that's for sure. But it is funny. But he also does a song called I Love LA, which was very popular. A beautiful song called Same Girl that you've got to look up and just listen to. That song is just, even with his terrible voice, it's so emotional and orchestrated so well. But you probably know him best from Pixar and all the Toy Story movies and many other Pixar movies. Very great composer, and has taken a really great life. Another composer I love, and saw that it was his birthday in 2 days, on December 2nd, is Rob Mounsey. Rob was a producer. That's how I knew him at first, was as a producer for Michael Franks, who was one of my favorite singers and jazz artists, and just is one of my desert island artists and songwriters. But Rob Mounsey produced several of his records that were very formative for me as a producer in the 80s and 90s, and really determined my production style, which led to my success as a producer. So really important composer for me. On a more classical side, Anton Webern. Yes, Anton Webern, you rascal. From the a student of Arnold Schoenberg, part of the atonal 12-tone movement, part of the second Viennese school. I have to say, and we're going to do an episode sometime about 12-tone and atonal, and talking about this music. This is probably music you haven't heard before, especially composers that are probably putting stuff to music libraries. Not exactly what music libraries are looking for is atonal 12-tone music. And basically what that means is it takes 12 tones. We have 12 tones in the scale, right? It's 12 between C and B, okay? If we're just in the key of C. But that's the beautiful thing about 12-tone is there really isn't a key, because there almost is no key center in some 12-tone, because what you're doing is basically taking all of those notes, all 12 of those notes, putting them in a bag, shaking them up, and then choosing them in some random order like this. I know it sounds like a horror movie, but this is a tried and true way. Composers just got bored in the 50s, basically, and they just said, we've got to do something different. And Arnold Schoenberg and who's the other guy? eventually Richard Strauss came into this school. A lot of composers came into the school, but especially Anton Webern and the other guy. I can't think of his name right now. Shane, you probably are thinking about it, but I can't think of his name right now. But Anton Webern was one of these people who wrote these songs, very known and celebrated for the kind of music that, and we'll talk more about this. I've actually written some songs that started as atonal songs that turned out really nice, and I learned some things about it, so that'll be something we do in a future show. Okay, well, that's it for news and for birthdays. Let me just check on how everybody is doing. Sorry, I've ignored everybody in the chat, but I do want to make these videos for people who are in the chat and people who are just joining the chat later. So let's see what's going on. Oh, I see a CVB alert. Okay. Exciting week, says Andreas. After a long week, Arco says Eric is back again. And sorry about Friday, but that was kind of a holiday here in the States, so I couldn't do a Make Music Income. But be part of this week. On Friday, I'm going to do a bit of a wrap up of November as far as income. It's been a wild and wacky and pretty terrible, at least stock income week for me. But I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about some of the annual free things that I have found that you need to know as a composer. So if you are wanting to compose, let's see. Arco and Fret Noise did a collab. That was cool, and I hope that worked out well for you guys. I need to pull this over a little bit because I cannot see everybody in the chat because we got people here. Let's see what else is. Anybody have any comments to my stuff here? Arco says he recently joined Stevie B's Academy. Congratulations, Arco. Daydream says hope is always there. That's the reason to keep working for sure. Melodic Pictures says hello everyone. Hey, glad to have you here. We're going to listen to your music here in just a minute. Let's see who else. Stevie B is in the house and says Switzerland. Okay. Fret Noise says is in the house today and says I've used Insta Composer a little bit to try it. It hardly ever makes anything good, and even then it might just be a 3 or 4 chunk of notes that inspires you. I guess so. I would prefer that you go to the piano and inspire yourself, or go to your guitar, or go to at least your DAW and be inspired by creating music. I think that's kind of the point of this channel, is just to talk about composing from those of us. I know there's a lot of DAW composers out there, and you'll be interested to know, was it yesterday? Monday, I believe, I went and I met with my previous composing instructor, the guy I studied under for my master's, and we talked a lot. And he is actually, I'm going to have an interview with him because he is actually the namesake of Hello Composers, because every time we started class, he would say, hello composers, today we're going to do this. And he wasn't using it like I do, hello composers. He was actually doing it as a salute, as a salutations to us, which I always thought was cool. And that's always why. Okay, a lot of chat here. Arco, you asked chromatic scale. Yes, what I played was the chromatic scale, but what I was talking about was the 12 notes in the chromatic scale that atonal is chosen from. Fret Noise says it's Sudoku. I don't even know how. I can't even play it. I can't even say it. Sudoku for music. Let's see. Daydream says my ArtList Originals project made some progress. It's actually in the review stage. Excellent. That's good news. Stevie says, hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. How are you doing, man? Look forward to talking to you. Oh, speaking of news, man, we have some news. Steve and I will be celebrating our 50th episode of our podcast, and we're going to be doing it live on Monday. Steve, we're going to have to test it. Maybe we could test it tomorrow. But we are going to be doing our live right here on, not here on Hello Composers. We'll do it on the Make Music Income channel. But it will be Steve and I both here live. Everybody will be in the chat. We're going to invite everybody from Production Music Academy, everybody from Hello Composers and Make Music Income. And we're just going to have a big party in Hawaii. Yes, Steve and I both have our plane tickets. And yeah, absolutely. Steve says we'll be flying to Hawaii. Yeah, it's a red eye straight out. So we might be a little tired looking. And the background, you know, I'm not sure where we're going to be in Hawaii yet. We're still kind of trying to figure that out. But we will be in Hawaii. It will be a Hawaiian episode. So we are super excited. We hope you will join us. And we'll have some Mai Tais, and we'll have a good talk. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Matthias is like, what? Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Let's move on with the show. I want to talk a little bit now about hope. Hello, composers. You know, I think one of the things that sometimes that we can get a little freaked out about is the fact that with everything that we are trying to do, Steve and I talk a lot about this too, but you know, we are sitting here in the season of hope. We are in the Christmas time, and this is this way around the world. That's why I love Christmas, because everybody is doing Christmas. It's not like Thanksgiving where only people in the U.S. celebrate it or whatever, but Christmas is a thing we can all share, kind of like COVID. I don't know why I said that. I don't think COVID should equal Christmas, but and there's not much hope when you have COVID. But, you know, I guess my question is today for you, are you running short on hope? Is hope something that is present for you? Because I know a lot of people deal with, especially at this time of year, start to get a little down. And composers especially, I think, can start to look at this time of year and go, wow, maybe I would have hoped for more this year. You know, I would have hoped I finished more songs. I always hope I will finish more songs than I did the year before. I don't know if I will this year. We hope for more success. We hope that people are going to heap upon us praise and respect and some kind of, and composers especially are not fame hogs, okay? We're not people who are out looking for a lot of attention. If we were, we would be artists. And it's one of the hardest things that I've found on the Make Music Income channel is to convince you composers to be artists and put your stuff out on Spotify, for goodness sake. But I think we're all hoping for these things, acceptance of our music into libraries or just in general, to our family, to our friends, people accepting our music. And of course, we're hoping for more music income. But we're not talking about making music income today. We're just talking about how to have hope as a composer. And I think the key for me, what works for me is my extreme optimism. I am an optimist. It's probably my greatest composer superpower. It's probably my greatest superpower, period, is just the fact that I am a supreme optimist. I am always optimistic about what is to come tomorrow, what is to come the next day. I always feel like my best song is my next song. I feel like that next song is going to be the better one than this. Every arrangement that I do, every song that I write, I know that there's a better one tomorrow. And I think if I didn't have that optimism, I might be more apt to lose hope. And so if you are ever in a place where you are kind of losing hope, I would suggest to you to really think about what you can do next. In other words, don't dwell on certainly don't dwell on the past, because dwelling on the past is no answer for, is that too bright? I think that's bright, better. Living in the past is just no answer for what is going to help you in the future. Even dealing with today, let today be today. Deal with today, and don't worry about tomorrow. There's a lot of things about, a lot of quotes about that. I got a quote coming up that's pretty good about that. But so yeah, I think being an optimist is important. It's one of my superpowers. And again, I think that we have to deal with the trends. Some things are trending up, and usually if you look at everything you're doing, like this very channel, this little small channel, Hello Composers, it's trending up very slowly, which is fine. And you have to be willing to deal with those trends. It's kind of like the stock market, not the ebook, which you should get, but some people are successful in stock, and those people who are in it for a very, very, very long time are patient. They watch it go up and they watch it go down. It's just gone down recently, right? And now we know it's going to go up. And you just have to be patient, be optimistic, and have hope, because you know things can improve and will improve, or will slowly improve. And I think that's something that's very important. You just have to have hope. I mean, there is just no other answer for it, and you just have to have hope. You just have to do it. I don't care if you feel like the world is against you. I don't care if you feel like that you don't have the time. That's the worst excuse in the whole wide world, is that you don't have the time to compose. There's always time. You're driving. You could be composing. Do not play the keyboard or guitar while you're driving. This is just a public service announcement. But do not, but do it. Just do it, as Nike says. Just compose, as Eric says. There's nothing like making something and saying, here it is. That is yes. That is, I am successful. That is, I am doing something. And when you create something and you get it, and you get a composition done, and you're able to show it off, like we're going to be showing off some songs here in a moment, and you're showing it off online to people, that is success. That is, yes, something is happening. And so there's nothing like making that thing and listening back to it. Is there? Like, once you get something done and you listen back and you're happy with it, that first listen mixed well and put out, or just coming back to it. The song that I just played for you, I haven't listened to in a week or two since I made it. And I'm excited about listening to it again because it's interesting. And I think that's what really draws us back to our own songs, is because we forgot that we wrote that thing. And that's part of what makes us happy. So we've got to finish the songs and then get them out. Each placement of the song, each time that gets in Spotify, anywhere, and you get any kind of positive reinforcement that you are doing something. It just makes everything better. It improves your attitude and it improves your goals. You get that. You get a Song Trader payout like I did this month and last month, and I'm like, oh, okay, so something's happening. You get a PRO payment like I got last week. That's another piece of news I could have talked about on here, but you've probably heard me talk about that on other videos. That also is something that can give you more hope. So you're saying there's a chance, as you hear me say all the time. That is something that I think can give us hope. And then one last thing on this, and that is, I'm not saying that you need to hope for $1 million. I'm not saying that you need to hope for I don't know, any kind of certain success. Stevie B's success is not your success. My success is not your success. Your success is going to be your success. Might be smaller little successes you have at a time. But just enjoy the ride. Be the composer. Stay optimistic. Compose and hope that tomorrow is your next best song. That's the only way to keep going. You've got to keep writing. You've got to be positive. You've got to be active. You've got to be working. You've got to be the ball, Danny. Sorry, Caddyshack line. Be the composer. Be the composer and work hard and hope for just a little bit more consistency for the next best thing. And I have a nice little quote here, and it goes like this: a little more persistence, a little more effort, and what seemed hopeless failure may turn to glorious success. That's by Elbert Hubbard. I just really love that that quote, because one of the hardest things to teach anyone is the doing part, is the staying on the path part. Persistence is key. Effort is key. I can't make you have those things. Only you can decide to have those things, and only you can prevent forest fires. All right, let's move on now to our reviews for the day. Let me check in with everybody and see what's going on. I have a lot of comments that I've missed. Sorry about that, folks, but I just really want to talk about this. Let's see. Fret Noise says, I always thought the thing about Hawaii was a joke. Is it? Okay. Arco says, someone should play Hawaiian guitar in the background. Well, yes, that's true. Steve will probably be playing Hawaiian guitar. He plays guitar, so I'm sure he plays Hawaiian guitar, being from Canada. Yes, Daydream says, sharing like COVID. Nice. Thanks. ML Music is in the house. Thanks for joining us. Oh, yeah, I do this all the time, Marley Music. Thank you for joining us today. Daydream says, hope is good, but we should not put too much force on hope. It can be a blocker. Things will happen at the right time. And that's basically what I'm talking about. Have hope. I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about, my next song will be the better one, so I'm just going to throw this one away. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there's a freedom that working on your next song and knowing that it's just going to continue to improve, and you, as long as you're doing, you can continue to improve. That's really the point. Sorry, that I was going for, was that, we just have to kind of hope. Let's see what else is going on. Arco says, if you want to fulfill your hope, you will really need dedication and commitment towards it, certainly. All right, anybody else got something? Sweet quote. Arco says, thank you. Matthias says, yes, that's right, Eric. Be hopeful, not calm. Thank you for that talent. Things will happen at the right time. The grass is not growing faster, even if you pull on it. Yes, but the grass is growing. And it may not seem like it's growing. You can't sit out and watch grass grow in real time. But it does grow, and so does your work. Andreas says, I love the topics. Optimistic, hopeful, enjoy the ride. Compose your next best song, Persistence. Great. Thanks for being here. All right. Well, Andreas is we're working together on some things. Matthias from Daydream Studios is already part of one of our masterminds. Arco and I are talking about it as well. Many of you have talked about this. Shane is involved in our Hello Composers Mastermind, and so are a few other people I might be missing. But make sure you check out the mastermind, and if you're interested to check that out, just right now all the information as far as the masterminds for both Make Music Income Mastermind and Hello Composer Mastermind are at makemusicincome.com/mastermind. Don't quite have the Hello Composer site up yet, but will soon. So if you're interested in the mastermind, let me know at this site. Okay, cool. Let's move on now and talk about our first song today, and really kind of this is the first Christmas song this year that someone is sharing with us, and that is from Andreas. And Andreas, the multi-music man, is going to share with us some Christmas instrumental music. And so let's make sure we are hearing that. As you know, I have a different setup in here. I'm not on my main computer, so I'm always fiddling with this laptop. I am running a 2017 MacBook Air that is running at its top capacity to try to pull this thing off today. So hope you are enjoying it. All right, so the first song today is Andreas, Christmas instrumental music. Let's see how this sounds to all of you. I'm going to present, ladies and gentlemen, GarageBand. I'm not using Logic today, only using GarageBand on here. And guess what? It works exactly like Logic. It's just the same deal. And hopefully you can see and hear this just fine. And I'm going to play this, and let's see how it sounds. Okay, that was pretty cool. All right, not again. Sorry, you only get one play. Only one play per show, folks. All right, Andreas. Let me just, I think I can remove that screen for now. I think in general, I like the melodies that you've got going here. The piano sounds really beautiful. I think that the problem here for me, again, I hate to make this a technical show versus a compositional show, but a lot of the problems that I hear with some things, and this is the kind of thing that we're going to be covering in the mastermind when we talk. And remember, the mastermind is going to be like a 6 to 8 member small private Zoom where we talk face to face about this stuff. We don't just talk online like this and where people just kind of tune in and out. But I do think I have some mixed things to say about this. I think I would pull everything back down to the bone as far as verb is concerned and start again. I think the reverb on the piano, it sounds like you are recording a piano from about the back row of a concert hall, and then there is also an orchestra somewhere, but it's not in the same orchestra hall. The rest of all the orchestral instruments seem to be very, very behind the piano. So it's a very odd experience. And I think Arco says the mix can be more cleaned up. And that's what I'm talking about. I agree that the piano is very nice. The piano is not the problem, but that is basically what we're talking about here, is that the piano is great. I just think that the mix is the problem right here. And sometimes it's even hard to get past that as a person talking about composing. I think composing wise, I love the melodies and everything. And I think I love all the orchestral stuff behind it. The mix is pretty loud and boisterous, mainly because of all the verb. And I know reverb is a nice thing, but sometimes you've got to be careful with how much you are putting on something in your attempts to make the piano sample sound good, or it sound like it's in a big some kind of big beautiful grand hall or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think you can go super crazy with that. I have noticed lately on some of my keyscape and piano productions where I put it through a Space Designer effect on Logic and try to get a nice sounding scoring stage type sound on orchestral stuff or on piano stuff. I've got to be careful that I don't put extra verb on the piano and then use another verb on top of that. It can just make stuff too washy, and I think that's what's going on here, is a lot of too much wash on that piano. But I think it's nicely played, and I would love to hear it again. And this is something that we will do in the mastermind, is kind of weekly check in on songs, see what you've done as far as updates, and then talk about that kind of thing. And so that is something that we will definitely be doing in these masterminds. Think of this, but in person, seeing your face, getting your comments as we talk, not just a quote here. Andreas says, thank you for your comments. Thanks, hello composers, for your thoughts about mixing. It really is a concert hall. Yes, I think it's a concert hall. The problem is it's too much, it's too loud. And the concert hall, it might be too big. It sounds like you're recording in the back corner of the concert hall, and there should, when you have a room sound like that, you also usually have close mics, and you usually have mid mics and trees and different things that are capturing closer to what's happening on the stage. And this sounds like it's just way far back in the hall. So I would consider really looking at those verbs and seeing if you can clean up that mix so you can nicely hear everything mixed together. But this isn't a production thing. You need to go to my friend Stevie B for that kind of stuff. But as far as me listening to the composition right now, that's the hardest part. Anyway, okay, well, let's move on to our next song because I want to keep things moving right along here. Another Christmas song from Matthias Forster, and I'm sure that is pronounced another way. I don't have a way to put the two dots over the O, Matthias, so please forgive me there. But let's go ahead and now listen to this, and this is O Holy Night, and let's see what he's done with this arrangement. Wow, that is quite beautiful. Very nice. Love it. I would love to know what you used on it. He did send me some notes, and he said it's a classical version of the well-known Christmas Carol, O Holy Night, a bit niche because I know most people search for the ring-ding jumping around the Christmas tree style. Okay. But I wanted to try a calm, different style and song. It brought me the second most downloads for my Christmas songs. Well, it certainly did fit in this review session, and beautifully done. Would love to know your samples that you use for these. I always love to know what people are using. I personally use a lot of different things. Now, before I go on, I want to say two things that I think about this mix before I look at what people are saying here. Number one, always make sure that there's not a few seconds, but at least a half of a second or a second or so before your song starts. Be very careful. It's a fine art, but sometimes I think when songs start right at zero, it can be trouble for people hearing the beginning of songs. So make sure you've always got just a whisper of silence before your song starts, because I didn't hear that on this. And then the other thing I was going to say on this, I'm down with some of the sound. They sound like BBSO or something like that to me without even looking or asking you what you've used. But they sound very nice, very nicely done. I think the cymbals, the cymbal rolls, and what am I trying to say here? The cymbal rolls into crashes. The crashes seem a little short. It seemed like they don't ring that much, and I think they could ring more. But beautiful arrangement, and I think there are times when I feel like when the horns come in, it's very nice. When I feel like that I'm listening to not real strings. Again, it's hard for us because we know they're not real. We know you didn't record this. Oh, I know the other thing I want to say about this song, and this relates back to Andreas' song. If you're still listening, Andreas, I want you to know this is an example of what you were trying to do, I think, and that is present the entire orchestra in a room like this, and he does that. But there are also, you don't hear them primarily, but you do hear a lot you do hear close mics so that you can hear the harp. You wouldn't be able to hear the harp in the back of the room without a close mic on it, unless it was really, really quiet and the orchestra was playing quiet. It doesn't cut that much sometimes. So in a recording like this, some of the instruments are not going to be as verbed out, so that they're not as ghosty and all that kind of stuff. But I love what you've done here, Matthias, and I love the sound of it. I again would love to know what you're using. Let's see if you're talking about it yet in here. Here we go. He basically used cinematic studio strings, Cinewinds, Cinesample woodwinds, and Cinebrass. Okay, so you're all Cine something. Okay, I've been looking at those during Black Friday and sales and stuff like that. I didn't pull the trigger. I actually did something different. I'm going to talk about it. I have a video about cyber season that I haven't got to edit yet, but it really talks about my thinking as opposed to Steve's thinking in his video about stuff. The harp was nice. The harp was really nice. I really loved the horns when they came in. Linda, welcome. Glad you're here. I think that I love the orchestral vibe and the sound of the room. I don't know. To me, there was something in the strings that was a little generic sounding, and I'm not sure what it was. It's not a bad thing. No one is going. We are, as musicians and composers, we pick stuff apart way more than most people would. My wife would never know. I put this on the radio in the car. She would not know the difference between this and Hans Zimmer or some other famous cinematic composer or arranger. She would know the difference. Only because she is not a person that thinks about samples. She doesn't care. And so I think we have to remember that most people aren't going to take things apart like we take things apart. And let's see if there's any other. Feels like walking down a snowy street in a foggy day. That doesn't sound very Christmassy to me, but the song certainly is Christmassy. And um, let me one thing back with my friend Andreas on your Christmas music, and we'll get back to you in just a second, Matthias. I'm not sure that it felt Christmassy enough to me. And I think there could be maybe some kind of sleigh bells or orchestral percussion that would lead us more in a Christmas direction. That was just a thought I just had. Now, with "Oh Holy Night," this is absolutely a Christmas song. Everybody knows it's a Christmas song because it's a very, very famous, well-known composition and arrangement that everybody does, including me. I've done it dozens of times for myself and clients. So it's a song that everybody knows. Very nicely done. Love the piano. Love the horns when they come in, and I love the room. I don't think that this one is too verbed out. Andreas, if you go back and listen to the difference between yours and this one, and try to see if you can figure a way to take that piano and insert it into the orchestra so you're hearing everything in that big hall that you're trying to pull off. And I think that might be helpful because that's what we're seeing Matthias do here with "Oh Holy Night," where he is pulling this big hall together and everything sounds like it's in the same room. And that, I think, is really where the one that you showed us, Andreas, kind of fell off for me. I felt like the piano was in one room and everything was in another room, and it was hard to listen to, versus this sounds like everything's in one room. Daydream says, mixing is always a problem. Gain staging is important. I am still working on it. Getting an orchestra big means not loud. It's the right gain staging and EQing. I still have to work on that. Yeah, and I have heard, Andreas says, yes, I'm here. I searched for some Christmas sounds. I did not have them right here. Yeah, keep working on this one, your Christmas song, Andreas. But I remember one of my engineers from Nashville telling me that it's really important to you've got to add a lot of verb to make fake strings sound real, especially to those kind of ears. And so there does have to be verb a lot of times on things, unless you're going for some kind of stark solo cello thing or something, and you've got a great sample. But even that requires just some room manipulation of some kind. All right, let's move on now. Today, I want to keep just moving through. I got a non-Christmas song here because a few people didn't get the memo about the Christmas thing yet. And you know what? I can always fit this in. And boy, Breaking Through the Gloom is absolutely what I was talking about with hope. I mean, it kind of is. Hopefully, this will be a very hopeful song. This is by Alex Chernov, and Alex is a brand new composer to the channel. Alex, thank you so much for letting us listen to your music here. I'm going to share this, and let's listen to Alex Chernov, Breaking Through the Gloom, not the Gloom. Here we go. That is very interesting, very unique, and I love the shortness of it. It's kind of almost like just a little cue, right? As our friend Dave would say, a little cue that just is for a scene, and kind of in a minor key, taking us from hopefully gloom and trying to travel through that gloom. And we could even relate it to our topic today about hope. Trying to battle depression and anxiety and all these things that we deal with, and really trying to figure out what we can do and battle through the gloom for sure. Very interesting. He did give me some notes here. And hi, Eric. My name is Alex. I'm an media composer since 2011. First of all, thank you for your videos and interesting information. Here's my track, Breaking Through the Gloom. I composed it for a recent competition that was organized by ThinkSpace Education, which I believe is Guy's channel, right? Hello, everybody. I composed it having been fascinated by having been impressed by a fascinating scene. The moon looked like a huge white spot in the clouds over the bridge in Imatra, Finland, a gloomy but beautiful place, which I really like. Gloomy but beautiful. So that makes a lot more sense when we listen to it. If you listen to this with the moon, and if we just take a listen to that again, and we listen with the moon kind of breaking through the clouds at night, on a gloomy kind of night, and the moon is breaking through the clouds. Something is happening around us. Someone is looking for someone. And think of this as a scene in a movie where someone is looking for something. They're escaping the Nazis back in World War II, or they're trying to escape from a prison or a camp, or and there's the breakthrough. I think what I would suggest here in this is, while I love this and I love the story behind it, I would also say, Arco says Sherlock Holmes. You could think of gloomy England for sure with this kind of thing. But to me, this is almost more of a tension track. And maybe you already have thought about that. But if you were going to make a lot of cues in this kind of style, I would call it a tension album of some kind. And so that might be something that you think about, is that this is very tension oriented, very made for a scene where there is tension and there is anxiety and apprehension about the characters, and or to me it sounds like some kind of action movie where someone's trying to sneak up on something, or and then they get caught at the end or something like that. But very nice. I think there could be a little bit more development in the song. I think the build is a little too fast when it gets to the build part. I think you could continue to add more stuff there and build that from the start. We don't ever want to be going too long without more and more stuff being added. And I think since it's orchestral and you've got those drums kind of doing what they're doing, I think you could add some more little... I'm starting to use a lot more orchestral ear candy from like Project Sam Orchestra, which is a free orchestra that they offer. But then I'll also have a lot of sound effects and stuff through some of the Spitfire stuff I have. And also, remember articulations with strings, woodwinds, brass, any articulations that you can do, trills and tremolo, and different things you can do with things, notes that are falling or rising, really makes a big difference in the payoff of what you're trying to compose. And put something new in. Use lots of little, just a little flute run, or use trombones. You know, there's a lot of orchestral things that you can do, and we tend to think, oh, I've got to do it all musically, and I've got to play the chords. But there are, it's kind of like ear candy for loops and stuff, where we have like different samples and stuff going in there. But instead, it's more about little orchestral ear candy moments, percussion, lots of different things like that. So cool. And he says, I agree about more development, but ThinkSpace Education, I've set the limit 1 minute. Oh, that's fine. No, I don't think that you can't keep this 1 minute thing and develop it more. I think you can develop it more inside the 1 minute version, is what I was saying. Mix Club says, I forgot you were doing this. I was going to send it a track. Hey, man, I'm doing this every week. So send me another one for next week. We've got 3 more Christmas shows in December, starting next Wednesday, or starting today, actually. And then 3 more after this that we'll be doing. We'll be focusing on Christmas. So send anything in. And you know what? It doesn't, Christmas is what I'd love to focus on, but it doesn't have to be Christmas. As you know, I can make anything fit. So thank you, Alex, for sending that, and stay part of this channel. Make sure you subscribe. I want to have you here as part of things. Anybody who's watching right now, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, because it really helps it grow and get out to more composers. And I've got some really interesting interviews and different things planned for this channel. So make sure you subscribe and see what's happening every week. Okay, next up is Key South with Decking the Halls, another Christmas song. And we're going to listen to that now. Key South, we've done a song for you before. And so let's listen to this song right now. Tell us if you are in the mix here in the chat, and we'll listen to Key South, Decking the Halls. Let's only listen to one thing. What do you say? Another one that starts a little too much on 0. Cool. All right. I think I love this. Love the idea. I've got a Deck the Halls thing I'm getting ready to do for my Hallowmas album, which is a mixture of Halloween and Christmas songs. And I'm working on that right now. About to finish that album up finally after a year. Love this. I love the groove and the beat and everything. I am not crazy about the bass sound. The bass sounds a little MIDI, cheap old MIDI, and I know it's some. I can't decide if you're trying to be purposely synth with it, or it's just a not great bass sound. Because if it's a real bass, it sounds completely fake and terrible. I mean, not terrible. Terrible is a bad thing to say. Awful. No, just kidding. I think it sounds just a little bit on the nose and generic, and I think the bass could be really cool. And I think the bass, either you take this bass, and what I would do if I was just wanting to improve this bass is just go ahead and add some other bass sounds to this track and copy the MIDI track down another track, add another bass sound to it, get a nice big fat bass sound, because it's the main thing you hear through this whole thing. It's a boom, 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 and it needs to keep people's attention and be interesting and good on the ears. And I think it's a little thin and small. All the other things that are happening sound pretty cool to me. Again, you don't want to mess too much with these things. Love the bells. I think the bells could be maybe a little stronger when we're hearing this part right here. I almost want a more cutting glockenspiel there than the bells that I hear. I'm not sure if you're using synth bells or whatever. I'm not really worried so much about the horns, because again, this is a hip hop version of Deck the Halls. You can really do anything you want. It's not that big of a deal, but love that. It's cool and different. Got the requisite jingle bells in there. Good stuff. Yeah, the only thing that really bothers me, and of course the horns aren't real, but they're not really supposed to be. Sometimes when you're using synth horns, they are what they are, and that's cool. But I really like this. I would like to hear a better bass, and that's my biggest deal there. Linda, you had a comment here about probably start with my alarm is telling me to go turn the water off in the pool. Okay. Linda, was this for the previous song or is this for this song? Start with sustain and a little bit build with subtle dynamics. I think maybe you might have been talking about the previous song. Not really sure. Arco says he has a public domain song for us next week. Great, bring it on. Yeah, but I really like that Key South cool stuff. Decking the Halls is fun and a great little thing. I think I would fatten up that bass. I would make sure that glockenspiel is a little bit. That's another sound that I think you could find a better substitute for. That's a little bit more cutting, not too cutting, but a little bit better. That one sounds a little synthy to me. And yeah, I know there's other synth stuff in here, but I think real glockenspiel and like the jingle bells, they require a little realness, even though everything else is kind of fake and stuff. Okay, let's move right on here. I want to move on to Michael Hawk sent me a song, and it's again not a Christmas song, and this is a kind of a different type of song here. It's going to be another song that kind of deals with the other end of joy, when you're out of joy and trying to bring someone some kind of comfort. And that's been the whole kind of vibe of the show today, right? Is joy and comfort and hope. And I hope if you are in a place right now where you're feeling a little hopeless, that maybe this song will help. I haven't listened to it yet, so it may be like not helpful, but I think it's going to be, because it's called Somebody Loves You. This is by Michael Hawks. So let's take a listen to Michael's song here.
I see from your face a struggle hard to hide. You try to ask for help as you battle your pride. A friend, you need a friend that won't let you down. Oh, won't let you down. Sins, we all have sinned. There's only one friend you really need now. Someone loves you, most important of all. Someone loves you, he waits for your call. He waits for your call. This world runs on you more than you realize. Don't make this end too soon. You've got the ultimate guide. A love comes and goes. True love never leaves. Oh, it never leaves. Trust, know who to trust. Trust only one. That's all you'll ever need. Someone loves you. You know it's not just me. Someone loves you. I trust in your see. Someone loves you. It's better set you free. Oh, set you free. A time, he's got the time to hear what you say. Oh, hear what you say. Faith, find all your faith, and with your faith, and you will be saved. Someone loves you. You know his name. Someone loves you. No need to be afraid. Someone loves you. On your knees and pray in Jesus' name. Someone loves you. Someone loves you, and it's not just me.
Love that. Jonathan, thanks for being in here. Yes, Jonathan says, sounds a little 80s, which is not a bad thing, or which is great. Certainly it does. You know, we all have our style. We've talked about this, and I think that Michael's style is definitely guitar-based. He says this was a country song, and that he twisted it into a look for Jesus for help, maybe suicide help type of song, which is great. Talk about people who need hope. This was why this song fit. I was originally going to ask him for something Christmas about that. I said, you know what? This song will fit. Linda says it reminds of Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, we live in an age where songs can be used from any decade. So if you have a song that sounds like an 80s song, that used to be the kiss of death because people say, oh, that sounds too 80s. We don't worry about that anymore. What if a supervisor says, I need something that sounds like Bruce Springsteen and it's got to be about hope? Well, there we go. You know, and that's what I'm talking about. One thing that I will say about this, Michael, is the fact that I think the vocals are not quite mixed where I'd like them. I don't even know if I have any problems with. I'm not really crazy about the guitar solo. I'm not crazy about the lead vocal. Only in mixing, not necessarily in sound. I think the guitar could be a little bit more verbed and carefully mixed in and out, especially the solo. The solo mainly. I think the vocal could be a little clearer, not louder. Not louder, but clearer. And I think that's a thing that I think we have to be careful of with these songs, especially if it's got a hopeful message that you want to get out to someone. And so that's very important. All right, very nice song. Thank you for that. And by the way, don't be surprised when you see religious or gospel type songs on this program. Not that I reach out specifically to people who are involved in church music or things like that, but I find that many composers might be writing music for the church or writing music for people and writing from a point of faith. I certainly do. So I try to keep everything very positive, if not very hopeful. You can tell by this episode. I'm trying to preach hope to you people. So, Rhett says, wait till you hear my techno country. We can wait. Rhett, thank you so much. Only a week, though, so send it to us for next week. All right, well, we're going to move to the last song of the day here, and that is a song I played at the top, kind of. And this is a version I did for a new album I'm working on that I'm releasing here in December. And I better get on it, right? But I've been releasing singles one at a time to Spotify. You can find it on the Quiet Soul Piano record. I didn't rename this correctly, but it says it right there on the screen. It's my piano brand, Quiet Soul Piano. And this is O Come, O Come Emmanuel. And I have been really challenging myself to write songs in the opposite relative key that they are in. So what I mean by that is, if a song is in minor, I'm doing it. I just think that's interesting. I think it's interesting to reimagine songs in the relative key. If it's a major song and it's relative minor, if it's a minor song and it's relative major, I think that's just really fun. And so I've got an album coming out called An Uncommon Christmas, and it's just going to have a lot of songs that are either not very well known, like Lowell Rose Air Blooming, which is known by people, but if you hear it, but it's not like Oh Holy Night, where people just go, oh Holy Night, or Deck the Halls, where people say, oh Deck the Halls. So this is my version of O Come Emmanuel. I also, as I was working on the arrangement, I said, you know what? I think I could do this inside of Canon in D. You'll see some variations of Canon in D in this, but this is O Come, O Canon in D. Just got the email today that it is in Motion Array, and it's actually got in Motion Array before it got in Pond 5. What is up with that? So it's in Motion Array. It's going to be in, I think it's in Audio Jungle or going to be. So here we go. O Come, O Canon in D. And with that, that is about all I have today, folks. I so appreciate you joining me here today and being part of everything that we've been doing. I hope, getting back to that word again, I hope this has brought you some hope for what you can do with Christmas songs or what you can do as a composer. I know that I've got several other ones to do here. I've got a Carol of the Bells arrangement I'm working on now that also was a minor song. This song that you just heard, O Come Emmanuel, is a minor based song. But I always wonder why these songs were minor based when they're speaking of such things of great joy and hope. So I've taken it upon myself to take some songs that were minor and turn them into major. It's great fun. And Carol of the Bells is next. So I'll probably show that to you at some point, maybe even next week if I finish it between now and then. But I thank everybody for joining me. I hope this has given you some hope. Arco says it's a very good, hopeful video. Matthias says, yes, really good arrangement and composition, not boring at any time, and impressive piano sound. You know, I just get in Keyscape and I fool around till it sounds like what I think the song needs to sound like. I don't just jump into a setting with Ivory. I used to just use the same setting all the time, but with Keyscape, I definitely try to go in there and find. A lot of times, if I know it's going to be an emotional type of thing, I will start with a cinematic piano. I think it's what it's called, and you should try that. And then I mess with it until I get a brighter sound because it's a little dark. It's a really dark sound. I think it's called cinematic or something like that, dramatic or cinematic or something like that. But I mess with that, and it gives me a nice sound. Mix Club, nice blur look. Okay, well, thanks. That's all this little app I use. Someday I'll go into all that. Everybody, have a great weekend. Andreas, thank you so much. Have a great week. We'll be back in 2 days with a live video on Make Music Income, so make sure you join us for that. We're going to talk about a lot of things, including some things that have happened to me this month in stock music, and a nice little payday I had yesterday. Will wrap up my interesting month of income from all sources. We're also going to talk about free things that you can do. If I have time, I might make that a separate video. Last year I did a free things video, and there's some new free things that you might want to look at if you don't have them. So anyway, thank you everybody, all composers. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to sign off and go about my day. Goodbye, composers. Have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Sooner, probably, than you think, or maybe even want. I don't know. All right. See you, everybody. Have a great day. I'm going to end the broadcast. Everybody wave. Everybody say bye. Bye-bye. Everybody say goodbye because we're going to go. I'm leaving. I'm not kidding. I'm going to do it. Press the button. You can't stop me. Goodbye, Linda. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Bye, everybody. See you. Arco, thanks so much for being here. Rhett, thanks for being here. Ending the broadcast. Can't stop me. Pressing the button. Have a good day, everybody.